Welcome to Steve Draws. I'm Steve van der Groot, a Dutch illustrator and animator, but you can call me Steve. For an animation I needed to animate a flock of birds migrating, and I thought of different ways of achieving that, and I'll show you the scene right now. And it's for my YouTube channel called LikeZOO, and I'll leave a link in the description box so you can see the entire video. It's about winter. Usually a scene like this would be hard to animate because you need to have the grid and all the birds moving around, but I found another and very easy way to do that, because in Anime Studio Pro, and I'll go to Anime Studio now, and here I have the file of the animation, and I did a very simple setup. So it's a foreground, and I painted that in Photoshop, and a background of the sky, and in between I animated the migrating birds. And in Anime Studio Pro it looks like this, but natural brushes in Anime Studio sometimes jitter. And most of the time you don't want that. You just want them to not jitter that much. But for this scene it was perfect. So I select a layer, and I first drew these flock of birds with a very big brush. And when you select a brush with the what's this thing called, the select shape tool, then you can adjust your stroke, and you do that in your style panel. And when you click on this square, you go to the brush settings, and I used this brush for that. It's the brush 570-1-360-65, and it has a nice grid to it. So what I did is I animated the vector points so that it looked a bit like birds migrating. And in Anime Studio it really doesn't look like birds, but I'll show you what I did to achieve the effect. So I animated 2 layers of birds. This is the first layer, and the first layer I animated the vector points, so you get the animation of the birds. And when you go to the settings of your brush, you can select minimize frame to frame randomness, and when you do that your brush won't jitter, but I just didn't select it. So what you see is that the brush will jitter a lot, and you can also adjust how much your brush will jitter, and it's now on 360. Now I also adjusted the transparency of the layer, and when you double click on your layer, you get your layer settings, and the opacity is on 50%, and I left it on 50%. So when you press Command R, you get a preview of your final rendering. Now you can see that this is a little bit more transparent, and underneath this layer I had another layer, and there I played around with the opacity, because you can also animate the opacity of your layer, and then you have to select allow animated layer effects, and now it's on 68 opacity, and now I'm on frame 100, and when I select 200, you see that the opacity is on 53%. And when you play around with that, you get the nice effect of, birds migrating. So in this way you can animate a flock of birds migrating with just using the natural brushes in Anime Studio Pro. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. If you want me to do more tutorials about Anime Studio Pro, please let me know in the comments. Total animation of Vincent.